guys, we're going to be talking about the Algebra Standard um, second objective on ratios and proportions. So get out your handy notebook. You're going to need to go to the activity area and get a paper that has 4 cutouts. Unfortunately, you are going to have to hold the paper up in the air and cut very carefully because they do not align very well. And I will speak to you in class about that, hopefully, so you will not make any mistakes. So when you're done, you should have a ratio that is cut out, a proportion that is cut out, and then separate skinnier ones. One is going to be about cross multiplying, and the other one is going to be the percent proportion. So those are the 4. Again, when you have them cut out and you've seen the video, you'll know a little more clearly what you need to do. Let's start by opening our interactive notebook, and you should be on page 28. This is going to be about solving proportions. So turn to page 28, and I'm going to show you the layout. So it's a little difficult to see, and I'm going to want to zoom in later, but for now, you can see that I have my ratio and proportion at the very, very top of my notebook and close together. And then I have the foldable about cross multiplying on the very edge, leaving space to the right and space for 2 more problems underneath. Then that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got about 5 lines here. Then underneath it, I have my other foldable, which is the same way to solve a proportion with cross multiply and divide, and we talk about percent proportions. And again, probably space with a problem on the right and some problems underneath. So I'm basically combining 2 notebook pages into 1. So it's going to be very tight. So please be very careful in cutting out your pieces. Those can be a little bit difficult, and in spacing it out. All right? Also, you will need to go to Mr. Justice or Mrs. Smith, and you're going to get stickers that have additional questions on them. So the first sticker is about baseball. It goes with the cross multiplying, so I'm going to place that right next to it, and so we will address that. I'm going to have a little IRA chart to the side and then work it out. The other sticker is about candy bars, and I'm going to, again, place that right next to the foldable. I've done this because I'm trying to put so much on a notebook page. I didn't want you to have to hand write out the problems like my students have had to in the past. It will save space on the page to have it printed small and save time in the video. So I'm going to zoom up and we can get started talking about ratios and proportions. Talking about ratio is another word for a fraction. In class, we're probably going to talk about fractions a lot, but just as often you're going to hear a fraction referred to as a ratio. And you also need to know that ratios can be given to you in a word problem 3 different ways. They can be given to you as a part to a total, like a typical fraction, like 3 parts out of 8. I might say that 3 out of 8 students in class today are wearing tennis shoes. Okay? So that could be 3 out of 8 students have on tennis shoes. Part to total could also be denoted with a colon, which is 2 dots there. So this would be in a ratio of 3 to 8. Students in the ratio of 3 students with tennis shoes to 8 total students. It can also be given with the word to, T-O, 3 to 8. Students wearing tennis shoes to total students is in a ratio of 3 to 8, 3, 8, or 3 over 8. Okay? So those are ratios and ways that we can give them to you. Now, proportions are just a ratio equal to another ratio. So yes, that means exactly what you're thinking. A fraction set to its equivalent fraction when one of the 4 pieces is missing and we have to solve. Like 1/2 is equal to how much out of 10? Well, we would say that half of 10 is 5, so the x will be 5. And we're going to talk about how to solve that, how to solve proportions. So two ratios that are equal or equivalent, and how do we solve it? With cross multiply and divide. Okay, and that's what this page is going to be about. So let's talk about our first little foldable here. If you trim it and fold the pieces, it should shut like cabinet doors. And on the outside, it should show one fraction being equal to another fraction. And cross multiply means to multiply b times c and a times d. So a times d would be equal to b times c. When you open that up inside, that's exactly what I have. AD equals BC. One time I'm going to show you why we just teach cross multiply and divide the shortcut. I'm going to teach you the algebraic reasoning of how that works. So we now know that AD is equal to BC. But if we're trying to solve a problem, here's what we've done. I've said it costs $2.70 for 9 pounds of, let's say, potatoes. But I want to buy the 2-pound bag, and the price is a scaled equivalent. So $2.70 for 9 pounds is equal to how much? So my x is across from the money to say how much for 2 pounds. So I've cross multiplied 270 times 2 to get 540. And that's equal to 9 times x. Then to solve for x, I divide by 9 on both sides. The 9's here are equivalent to 1. So 9 divided by 9 is 1. So 1x, or x, is equal to 540 divided by 9 is 60 cents. We typically just do shortcuts. So if I said 6/15 is equal to x over 10, in one direction here, I can have two numbers to multiply. And it could be in either direction. But in this example, it's 6 and 10. So that's 60. There's only one number left out to divide by, and that's 15. So 60 divided by 15 is 4. Here's another example on the other side of the flap. 3/4 is equal to how many out of 10? Again, I wish I had set it up to multiply the other direction, but I didn't. So 3 times 10 is 30, divided by the only number that's left, which is 4, is 7.5. So we're going to practice this a little bit with this problem that I have here. And we're going to use something called IRA. You may have already done this, but IRA is like a little chart that helps you organize your work. I stands for item. So what are we talking about? Are we talking about apples, snowmen, Diet Cokes? Are we talking about footballs and baseballs? It tells us what we're talking about. The ratio means the ratio they give us, and the actual means what we're going to solve. So the question now says, if 3 out of 10 boys play baseball at West Middle School, how many out of 340 play baseball? Okay, excuse my chipped fingernail polish. So if 3 out of 10 boys play baseball, so these are the boys, and the ratio is 3 to 10, and the 10 represents the total number of boys. These are the boys that play baseball. How many out of 340? Well, 340 is our actual number. Is that the numbers playing baseball or the total number? So reading it again, it says how many out of tells me it's the total of 340. Now I can clearly see what my problem should look like. And I'm going to solve. If 3 out of 10 are equal to how many out of 340? Cross multiply in the direction where I have two numbers. You get to use a calculator this year. So using a calculator, you can multiply 340 times 3. And I get 1,020. I'm now going to divide by whatever number is left, 10. That's an easy simplification because if I have 9 zeros top and bottom, I can divide by 10 or eliminate those zeros, and I end up with 102 over 1, or the answer of 102 boys that play baseball. So, I hope you see that that's really not difficult, correct? So let's talk about another problem. How about if I said that, I'm going to make sure that I've tilted my notebook and that you can see what I'm writing here. Here we go. How about if I said that how many out of 40 like Dr. Pepper if 3 out of 8 voted they did? Well, what direction do I have two numbers where I can multiply? That's correct. 3 times 40. 3 times 40 is 120. Divided by, what number is left to divide by? Yes, 8. And 120 divided by 8 is equal to 15. So my answer is 15. Let's try another example. How about if I said that how many out of 15 girls had a ponytail today? When I did a sample of the ratio 2 out of every 5. Here's the direction where I can cross multiply two numbers, and 2 times 15 is 30. Divide by 5. My answer is 6. You can see that it's very easy to solve. I'm so sorry you didn't see that whole problem. How many out of 15 when the ratio is 2 to 5? Cross multiply 2 and 15 to get 30, and then divide by 5. So I end up with 6. So things change a little bit when we start talking about the percent problems, because we're going to get a lot of percent questions, especially when it comes to sales tax and discount, or what percent of a number is another number. So this foldable tells you we still have part to total, but we're always, if we're dealing with a percent, it's always equal to a percent over 100. I call all typical problems slash equals slash problems, and if we're going to do one that has a percent in it anywhere, it's slash equals slash over 100, where the percent is always on top. Now there's a cheat. Let's close our foldable. If your statement has the word is and of in it, then the is always the part, right? And the total is the of. Like before when we were talking about how many out of 340. We knew that 340 was our total. So you're going to have a lot of questions like that you're going to work on. But for now, I want to talk about this question. This one is actually not a percent, and we're going to use our IRA. Remember, our item, our ratio, and our actual. And I didn't need to have 4 lines. IRA charts only need to be 3. And before, you could see our IRA only needed to have 2. But now I'm going to show you why you would need to have 3. And this is really the only reason an IRA chart can be really helpful. The question says, if I stock candy bars and the ratio of 3 Twix to 2 Snickers. So far I have 6, I have Snickers, and the ratio is 3 Twix to 2 Snickers. Now when given ratios, the order of the ratio is always the order of the items. And then it says, how many of my 120 candy bars? Well, 120 is a total amount of my 120. So in the actual, that 120 should go down here where total is. And now they want to know how many of my 120 are Twix. So I'm solving for Twix. So that is where I'm going to put my X, because that's where I'm solving. So I've got 2 numbers here, 3 is to x as, I know it's 120 as my total, so I need the total of the candy bars. How many total candy bars is there in my ratio? 3 Twix and 2 Snickers means correct. I had 5. Now this problem is ready to be solved. 3 times 120 is 360 divided by 5, and 360 divided by 5 is equal to 72. So 72 Twix. Okay, so I hope this IRA chart will work, but this was not a percent question. So I want to practice some percent questions. Some of them are going to be really simple, and they're just going to be like a little phrase. And your little phrase may say something like, let's try, what percent, write this down with me, of 5 is 4? Okay, so let's try it with the is and the of. What is the percent? That's what we don't know. What means that's where I'm going to put my x. So it goes where the percent is at. Of 5 tells me that that's my total, and it goes at the bottom. Is 4, so that means 4 goes where my is. So I should have 1x left. So I'm going to multiply where I have two numbers. 4 times 100 is 400. Divide where my number is left. And 400 divided by 5 is, that's correct, 80. How about what number is 5%? I've been given a percent of 60. Well, let's see. If I do slash equals slash over 100, because I have been given the percent, I know it goes over my 100. I have of 60. Of tells me that's my total. I'm going to cross multiply the direction where I have two numbers, divide with the number that's left, reduce, and my answer is correct, 3. Maybe I should write my answer here, 80. So you can see how you can plug in those numbers and figure things out, correct? Let's try one more and maybe squeeze it at the bottom. We should try, what percent is 3 of 6? Okay, well, slash equals slash over 100. What percent means that's going to be my x? Is 3 means 3 is my part of 6. Cross multiply, get 300, divide by the number that's left. My answer is 50. All right. I'm sure that your teacher is going to assign you some accelerated math problems over this standard. Your notebook page should be really full of all kinds of good examples and foldable notes. So I hope this helps you, and I know you'll be referring to this often.